Hello, and welcome to Hello, It's Us, a program based on the premise that life in general is easier if everyone works in the same direction as opposed to you, me, and them all working at cross purposes. We're back. We've been gone for a while with various health reasons each and hospitalizations and such. And we're really happy for our first show back again to have Mary Isaiah from NAMI Johnson County with us. And this was a program that we really had intended to do quite a while ago. And as I say, situations interfered with us doing that. Shortly after Robin Williams passed, it seemed to me that that was an opportune time to talk about suicide and the fact that it affects everybody. It affects the poorest of the poor, and it affects very rich people who would seem to have it all and to have the means and access to every service that should assist them in handling their lives and their own demons. And clearly that's not true. So we decided that it would be a good thing to talk about that a little, because, you know, suicide is not a small event. And as I say, it affects everybody. So we'll let Mary start with some information.
Thank you, Terry and Keith, for inviting me here today. I'm Mary Issa. I'm the Executive Director of NAMI Johnson County. And we at NAMI have support groups and educational programs for people with mental illness, family members, and we try to educate the community as much as possible. But we serve on a larger committee called the Suicide Prevention Coalition because there is a need for prevention in our community. So it's definitely something that our community is aware of, that's an issue, and it does affect all people. It's not just one group of people, but generally people with mental illness. I did some research because I don't have stats on the top of my head, and 90% of people who die by suicide do have a mental health disorder. So I think that's a pretty high statistic that goes hand in hand with suicide. So I think that's something the community should be aware of, that those people suffer more with suicidal ideation.
Mary, I have a question.
Sure, Keith.
Do we as a group think that the suicide is because they are mentally ill, or could it be a real problem otherwise?
So could you repeat your question to me to make sure I answer it correctly?
Do we think they're committing suicide because they know they're mentally ill, or could it be another pressing problem?
I think I can kind of go through some of the kind of warning signs and suicidal ideation that kind of go together. So some of the suicide risk factors, like we talked about, the mental health condition, such as depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, borderline, which is or antisocial personality disorder, conduct disorders, and other anxiety disorders, substance abuse disorders, and then people who have serious chronic pain or health conditions that have a lot of pain. Those help factors are part of the risk factors. And then there's environmental factors, such as access to lethal means, access to firearms and drugs, prolonged stressful events. Just recently in the news, so we heard about a 12-year-old who was being bullied or harassed that committed suicide. People who have relationship problems, experiencing unemployment, stressful events such as a death, divorce, job loss, and then people should be concerned if the individual has had other attempts of suicide. They're at a higher risk. And then family history of suicide. So those are kind of some of the risk factors. And I found this information off of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So they're a national organization, and they're always trying to help prevent suicides across the nation. And then some of the warning signs of suicide are people talking of killing themselves, saying they have no reason to live, being burdened, feeling like they're a burden to others. So I think that with the caregiving, like if somebody needs a lot of caregiving, feeling trapped and having unbearable pain. Other things that people can watch for are people's increased use of drugs and alcohol. It reduces their inhibition to, like, they're more likely to follow through then because they don't have the warning in their head going like this isn't the right decision to make. People who withdraw from activities that used to be fun for them, people who start isolating, sleeping too much, sleeping too little, calling people to say goodbye, that's a warning sign. Giving up prized possessions, if they're giving their favorite things away. And then mood. A lot of times people talk about being depressed or loss of interest, rage, irritability. There's some of the warning signs of somebody who might be thinking about suicide. So those are things people want to be aware of and ask their friend or family member, are you thinking about suicide? Because it really, the myth is that people, if you bring it up, they'll think about it. But it's really not true. They want to know somebody's thinking about them, caring about them. And a lot of times that helps give hope. And I've heard like stories. There was a gentleman, and he was on his way on a bus to go commit suicide, and he wanted just one person to acknowledge him, one person to smile or say hi. So I think I've taken that with me out in the community, and just being aware that there are people out there that are just looking for somebody to smile at them and acknowledge that they're a human being. And we never know if that'll help save a life.
So what would be the cutting edge of mental health assistance now to try to remedy that?
I think people just getting treatment for their mental health, if somebody's experiencing some anxiety and depression, and going out and going and seeing just their regular medical doctor and letting the medical doctor visiting with them, is this serious enough? I need to go see a psychiatrist. Is it something the medical doctor can treat? And then there's therapy. People can go to therapy. And cost shouldn't be an issue for people. There's a lot of treatment out there, sliding scale, insurance helps pay for it. If somebody's in a crisis, there is a crisis line number people can call. I don't know if you want me to give the number for locally.
Sure.
So the Crisis Center of Johnson County, 24-hour crisis line, 319-351-0140. And anybody can call that. If you're concerned about a friend, talk to the crisis line, and they'll help people walk through to assess the situation.
How much does stigma continue to play a role in folks not going after the help they need?
I think it plays a large role with a lot of people not wanting to make that first step, not want to be viewed as somebody with a mental illness. The media portrays a person with a mental illness as somebody who's going to hurt others. And a lot of times people with mental illness are the victims of crimes. So they're not the perpetrator.
So you've talked a little about what's available to the average person to get assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams, I still just have trouble wrapping my head around the fact that all the things that he would have had available, I mean, clearly cost was no object to any kind of assistance that he could have gotten. And we know that he had gotten assistance a number of times through his life. So it wasn't a matter of him not knowing where to go or not knowing that it had been successful for a period of time with him before, that he had untold number of friends who had talked to him about it and who knew about it. You know, apparently this was not something that was a really well-kept secret that you know, his friends and colleagues knew that was something he battled and had helped him through other issues. And I'm not even sure how to phrase the next one. How or why would somebody with all that going for him, as well as his personal life where he was loved by untold millions and, you know, all the success he had had in so many areas and was involved in so many philanthropic things and, you know, had played roles in films that dealt with a number of these issues very closely.
So I think there were a couple of factors. Being famous might have been an issue of him not reaching out to get the help he needed. Like, imagine Robin Williams showing up at your support group. You know, they wouldn't be able to get anything done, but like, oh, Robin Williams is here. You know, it would have been too distracting. So maybe the one-on-one he didn't feel was enough. There's so many factors. He could have just felt he wasn't worthy anymore and couldn't hear that there were so many people out there that were caring for him.
And I guess I don't know how support groups for that work.
Right.
But wouldn't there be different level, or I mean, different support groups for different folks? I mean, or as I say, I don't know whether support groups are out there and everybody comes in to take part, or whether, you know, certain levels of people seek groups with people like themselves.
Yeah,
Is there an actor support?
I don't know.
And
Maybe we need to start
yeah,
one.
because of the anonymity of a lot of that stuff,
Right.
because and I don't know whether it's true even in some of the other films and that out there that one of the things I remember from the show called The West Wing, was the president's chief of staff was an alcoholic and had a very colored past. And at one point in the show, it showed him and about 20 or 30 other people who worked in the White House having one of their meetings in the White House. And that was kind of where I wondered whether, how people find each other, how people
Right.
find the groups.
Right. Well, I know at NAMI when we have a group, everyone's welcome. So it doesn't matter where you are in life and what mental illness you have, but it's supporting each other in the community. So might not have had that community in Hollywood that he needed.
with Robert, even though he was a famous individual, could it be just the human factor of one more time, giving up? How long? Could he be questioning, how long can I put up with this?
Mm-hmm. And I also heard that he had just been recently diagnosed
With
Parkinson's.
yes,
And so I thought,
that might have weighed the scale.
I don't know. It's very, very sad to lose him in that way.
So I think one of the most important things to get across to folks is there is help out there.
There is help. There are ways, and I think a lot of what the Johnson County community is trying to do is prevention and trying to get people into services quickly so that people don't get to that point where they feel they need to end their life.
And I think it's our job here to get it close to people. Don't be embarrassed to ask for help. Don't let it go so far there's no return.
Right. And with technology now, people can text Iowa Crisis Chat, so you can be texting or using your computer. If you don't feel like calling someone, then you can text. So that's another helpful way to get people crisis counseling quickly.
Mary, do we have a specific number just for Iowa? How many people are diagnosed with mental illness?
I was visiting with somebody from Johnson County Public Health today, and I didn't get the number. I was looking for a number from Johnson County, people diagnosed with mental health conditions, and I didn't get that statistic, and I didn't think to ask for Iowa. But our overall statistic we tell people is 1 in 4 our people are affected with mental illness throughout their lifetime. So there's different times people might experience some depression, different anxiety over different issues or something. So 1 in 4.
And even though that number is minimal, when you count the whole population, it can be quite a large number.
It is quite a large number.
For us.
1 in 4. I mean, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
A substantial number of people, and then of those people, a lot of people go without getting treatment. So But there's always hope. There's always hope for recovery and mental illness. That people need to realize that with treatment and getting support and taking care of themselves, a lot of people are able to live a very happy, successful life.
For someone who suspects a friend or loved one might be having problems, but is not comfortable broaching the subject if it's never happened before, what suggestions might you have for them?
Maybe just starting a dialogue of, today I had a really hard day and had trouble at work and I'm feeling really down, and kind of put it to the person who is talking and bringing up examples and see if that'll open up a conversation with the other person. That's how I like to do it, is to talk to people about what's going on in my life, how I've experienced things, and just asking them if they have ways to deal with when you're having problems. And a lot of times, if you make the other person feel comfortable that they can share with you, they'll probably open up and tell you what they're experiencing. And then you can have information available. Maybe say, hey, I heard about the Graces Center over here. I heard about NAMI support groups over here, and maybe offer to go with that person and to get help or make the phone call.
And I think that's something through the years that I've kind of learned. For some reason, I attract people who I've never met before, but who, for some reason, want to pick me to discuss some of the most interesting topics I've ever heard.
Right.
And a lot of them can be ones that are related to health issues or whatever. And I have found that lots of people aren't necessarily looking for advice or an answer, but I think even without knowing it themselves, they just want to tell their story.
Right.
And have the opportunity to hear out loud what they've been thinking for a very long time.
Right.
And as they go on, solutions, suddenly become a little more clear. Options become a little more clear. And by the time you finish, and they certainly have not solved their problems, but they're a little less stressed. They have a feeling that, they may have some options after all.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, as you said earlier, that someone, specifically someone they didn't know, who wouldn't be in the category of, well, I'm obligated to tell them something. I've known them for 30 years. I have to answer some of this, da da da. But just somebody who gave them the time
Right.
that they wanted to say what they wanted. And as I say, I have always found that an incredible thing, and that all you have to invest is some time with the person.
Right.
And no matter what they want to talk about, because they say, sometimes you get some stories that you wouldn't tell your own family, but to give somebody the opportunity
Right.
to express those feelings and let off steam or whatever we want to say that it is,
Right.
but just a way to not feel like the world's closing in on them or whatever, gee, there is somebody that they can talk to.
Certainly.
And if they've been involved with different groups before, maybe it's time to go back, or maybe it's time to check the yellow pages for some
Right.
of those things.
To reach out to a support group, that there's a group of people experiencing something similar, that you can gain knowledge from that group.
A lot of time it's just being able to find someone to listen to them.
As I say, I don't know why. A stranger is somebody that they might pick, but they do, and they always seem to find me anyway. When I'm waiting for a bus or something anyway, I've got nothing to do.
Right.
So to listen to them, to nod, whatever, when it appears that's what they want. How selfish would one have to be to deny somebody that? I just haven't come across that time where it's like, well, I'd love to listen to this, but I've got to go. And I would hope that the majority of people would understand that, because you can just tell by those folks as you're talking to them that there's a change happening in them.
That five minutes was life-changing for them, right?
And you haven't done all that much.
Right.
They find me a lot too. And I think it's because I have a disability that I can
That could be it.
sit
We can't
there,
move quick.
that I can sit there and listen. And maybe they get humbled or they get pepped up by saying to themselves, well, if he can handle it, I can. And I can trust him not to tell other people.
Right. Well, you're kind and caring gentleman. That's why people find you.
Well, we've burned through our time,
Oh my goodness.
and God, it felt good being back
Yeah.
again. This was really good. I think it was a good thing to do.
Yeah.
I think hopefully there's some folks out there who might have gotten something
I hope so.
out of this, may have picked up on some of the phone numbers. Always great to have you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you,
will.
Keith.
Have to schedule something else sometime soon.
Yes.
But thank you. Thank everybody out there. As I say, it was great being back.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you.